He's motherfucking. He's something funny. He thinks he's awesome.
Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I'm here to talk to you about a game called Jailbreakers. When I was younger and I spent a lot of time with my dad after my parents got divorced, he and I would watch a lot of movies together. We would rent movies, we'd go to movies, we'd watch movies on like the really bad cable that we had when I was younger. And we would really enjoy the like heist genre and also like the escape genre. Movies like Escape from Alcatraz or The Great Escape with Steve McQueen. You know, those types of movies I really enjoyed, and and my father did as well. Just the whole like the desperate criminal or the wrongfully convicted man, you know, with the daring escape to prove his innocence and what have you. It was just a good genre of movie, and I don't even think like the actual escape was what was so interesting. It was always just interesting watching their plan come to fruition, and the different foibles they'd go through to get that done, and like, you know, the different situations that you know would arise that they hadn't planned for and how they got past them and things like that. And I remember playing a game actually with my father called Dungeon Dice, which was kind of a press your luck game, but it was about escaping from a dungeon, and we used to play that a lot. Especially, I think my grandparents had a copy and we'd play at my grandparents' house. But so when the creator of Jailbreakers contacted me and said, hey, you know, could I get you to, you know, print off, like I give you these print and play files and maybe you can print these off and give this game a try. The theme really grabbed me. I really liked the art, and after I kind of delved into the rules a little bit, I really felt I'd have a lot of fun playing this one with both my daughter and also with my gaming group. And so I went ahead and I don't normally do it. I don't normally make a print and play copy. I'm really bad. I clumsy fingers and what have you. But I printed these off and I cut out the cards and I got this game going. And we've had a lot of fun playing it just because of I think a combination of the easy flow mechanisms that are part of the game, the kind of the push your luck part of the game, but also the theme and how the gameplay really brings out that evocative theme for me. So let me show you how to play Jailbreakers, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you exactly why I dig it, and hopefully somewhere along the way you'll figure out whether or not this is something you want to add to your game shelf as well. Alright, cool. Alright, this is Jailbreakers, and this is a 4-player game that I have set up. You can play it with 3 or 2, and it is both fun with 3 or 2, but 4 players is what I played this mostly with, and we had a great deal of fun this way. Mostly because of the fact that when you roll the dice, you're going to be placing them into the locations, and the more players that are playing, the quicker those spots get used up, and so it is kind of interesting and where you place your dice trying to prevent other people from getting what they need. But anyway, the game is pretty straightforward. Beginning with any one player, we'll just say green is the first player. They will roll a die, and after they roll it, like I rolled a 3, they have the option then of placing this die on 3, 2, or 1. They can't place it higher than 3. Now, you could possibly get items later that allow you to affect your rolls, but at the beginning of the game, that is not the option. And on these spots, they will tell you what you can do. You can collect a metal, collect a wood, collect a rope. And so if we said, okay, we're going to go there, we collect a rope, and then you go over here to these item cards, and you can see here's, you know, the rope, and then the rope tells you what like different items that it can make, and that's important because I'll show you in just a moment. And so you go ahead and you place that down like so. And then the next person will go here. I'm going to try to do this quickly. So 4 could go 1, 2, 3, 4. They can't go on 3 though because 3 is already there. So they go 4, and then they're going to take the cloth, and then 5. Can go 6. Now they don't want to go 6 because if you land on the same spot as a guard, you get thrown into solitary confinement. I'll tell you that how that works here in just a quick second. But we go ahead, place it there, and that allows them to collect tape. And finally yellow. I didn't have any yellow dice, so I used white, but we got a 6 as well. Now they can go 6. They can go to 2, and so they can. And they go ahead and they're going to collect the wood, and then that is their item that they have. Now, normally, at the end of when you roll and you place and you take your item, you have the option of crafting. So you can take, if you have multiple items, because you can create some of these items, like knuckle dusters. If you have metal and tape, you'd have this item, and then it says can look at the first 2 cards of the escape deck. Or, say, the guard outfit. Cloth and metal, guards do not affect you if you have this particular item. But since we only had 1 item each, we couldn't actually create anything at this time. Also, on your turn, you can attempt an escape attempt as well. Now, I'll just show you how that works really quickly. So here's the 4. There's 4 escape attempts that are available, and they're more. There's a deck over there. They'll appear as you will. So here's the escape plan. He did it. It requires the whip, the bed buddy, and the knuckle dusters, and that would allow you to attempt an escape. Now, attempting escape is pretty straightforward. Depending on the number of items that was needed to attempt the escape, you have to draw a certain number of cards from the escape attempt deck. Now, mind you, remember, this is a prototype that I put together myself, so that's why I don't have any card backs or anything. But, the artwork and everything looks pretty much like how the game is going to work, and the artwork is pretty nice, in my opinion. But, so, if you have a 2-item attempt, which is like this, why punch when you can kick? It has 2 items. You have to draw 6 of these cards and not get 2 failures out of the deck. If you have 3, you have to draw 5, and if you have a 4-item attempt, you have to draw 4. So, what you do then is you just take the cards and you flip them over. Now, there's more escape cards than there are fail cards, but we're going to flip these over. And so here we start off with a fail. Now, since you get a fail right away, you have the option of backing out of your attempt, which might be useful, because when you back out, you just lose half of the items that you were attempting to use in your escape, instead of losing all of them if you actually fail. But if you continue on, let me see if I get lucky here. And we got a success. So okay, let's try to get. We have to get 3 successes, and 2 fails is a fail. So the next one is a success. Okay, we're doing pretty well here. And the last one is a success. So we would have our prisoner escape, even though we pushed our luck and we got that. Now, 2 things happen when an escape happens. 1, the prison goes on alert, and you always are reshuffling this deck. You don't, when you take these successes out, you put them back in, but you add a fail card to this deck. Now, you might say, where's the fail card come from? Well, if I had drawn a second fail, like so, and I had gotten caught, my prisoner that got caught trying to escape, he'd have to give up all the items that returned to this deck here. All the items that he used in the attempt would go back into that deck, and we would take 1 fail card, and we would go ahead and take that out of this deck, making it easier for subsequent attempts to get out of the prison. So, but then again, like I said, if somebody succeeds, they go on heightened alert, and the fail card goes back in. All right, so I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit explaining the other 2 things that you can do on your turn. But after you've gone and it gets back to green, what you do then is that you roll the die again. And this time, however, you add this number to the number that you've already rolled. Now, in this case, I have a 4, so I can go 4 or less. So I can't go 4, I can't go 3, I can't go 2, I can go 1 though, and I could collect metal. And so red has a 4, and he's going to add 5. So he can go all the way up to 9. Oops, I should probably flip that over. But all the way up to 9, and it says collect any one of any material, but you must give 1 of the same material to the other player. Or like 8 has collect 1 rope, cloth, or tape, so it has multiple options. So we'll go there. And so let me just see if I can get somebody to land on a guard here. So we have the 6, and now you can see, now if he had rolled a 1, the 6, the only place he could have gone is to the guard there. But so we have a 9, so we can go all the way to 9, but let's go 7. I don't want to have to give something to somebody else. And then now this is one of those situations where you do this purposely, because there's no way that white, when they roll this die, is going to be able to do anything. Because even if, well, wait, if we roll a 6, I apologize. Well, very likely that we're going to actually hammer yellow here. Unless we roll well. Well, we did roll well. We rolled 12. We can't go to 12 because we don't want to go there, but they can go to the shower. 6 plus 6, 12. Collect any 2 materials. So that goes that. Now, I should mention, so one more turn here. I'll show the other turns here. If you are unable to actually collect, and thus we have 5 plus 4 is 9, so we can go to the yard. If you can't land on a spot, like you have to go to a guard if you absolutely have to, but if you end up having to if you can't land on a spot, there's no penalty for that. Let me see here. So 9, so we've used up all the locations. And this happens fairly often. Now, both blue and yellow are kind of in a situation where they're unfortunately going to end up having to put their dice on the spots that have those guards on them. Now, when that happens, the prisoner that happens to, they go to solitary confinement, and they are considered to be in trouble. And so at the end of the turn, you have to give up 2 items to get them out of solitary confinement, or else you aren't able to roll those dice on the next turn. So after all that's done, and all the collection has done, everybody takes back their dice, and we'll put them on their prisoners. Now notice that if you actually have a prisoner escape, you'll have less prisoners, and then you'll actually have less dice, and it'll be tougher for you to get your second prisoner out. So then you win by having 2 prisoners escape. That's how you win this game. So as you do better, you actually start, having the game becomes more difficult for you in that situation. If you aren't able to get your prisoners out of solitary confinement, unfortunately, then they aren't going to be able to be used for you, because they're not going to be able to be in the yard, if you will, and rolling the dice. Where's my other white die? Oh, there we go. But let's say white did collect 2 items and paid that off or whatever. But unfortunately, this one won't be able to be used. When this happens after that turn, you take the 2 guards and you move them up 1 space, and by that means 12 goes to 1. And 6 goes to 7, and they start moving through the prison. There is an item actually that allows you well, there's like the worker outfit, can place dice on a space that's already occupied. That's a very good ability. There's one that allows you to move the guards as well. Let me see here. Just a moment. Yeah, the poster. You can move a guard card up or down, and so you can move it, down 1 or up 1, and that's actually a very powerful ability as well, especially if you think you're going to get hammered into, having to place a die in a spot that has a guard on there. Once you've cleared these off, you will draw more out of these escape attempts. The escape attempts, like I said, they have like 2 items, and as many as 4. Why did I collect so much stuff? And remember, the more items you have to attempt the escape, the less cards you have to draw out of here. So as the game continues, people will start working against each other and attempting to foil your plans, and there is also the ability to look forward, and this one that has the ability, you can look at the top 2 cards of the escape deck. Obviously that's a big help if that happens. Mostly what you're going to end up doing is taking risks. If you feel like another player is getting close to making an attempt, you might make the attempt with the 2, just on the off chance that you can draw 6 cards out of this deck and manage to escape, so you can pull off a win. The game is actually, it doesn't take a long time to play, but it is, really challenging. I do like the fact that it is basically a race game, and, and it is highly interactive as far as, you trying to deduce, you might go to a spot within the prison that maybe isn't the best for you, but you'll look at the other person's die rolls and you'll realize where they're getting kind of stuck very likely on their turn, and you'll purposely go to a spot that they would need, or they could use at least, just so you can force them to go to the guards. That's also like a really good tactic, and it's a lot of fun when you kind of screw somebody over that way. And like I said, it is as I said in the introduction, this is like those classic movies like Escape from Alcatraz and Shawshank Redemption, and even like there was an old game that my dad and I used to play called Dungeon Dice. I've always liked the whole like escape from the prison theme, if you will. So, all right, well, let me tell you more about why I like the game in my conclusion. Alright, you should have a pretty good idea of how to play the game Jailbreakers. I do like, I've always liked games with dice and resources. I mean, like, I realize, like, if you think dice resources, you're really going to bring ideas of Kingsburg or Alien Frontiers, things like that will come to mind. And whereas this, I think this is in that same planet or revolution, if you will, like that same biosphere or whatever technology I'm trying to reference here. This has the collection of the resources and the creation of the items is kind of secondary, really, to the whole process of position location and being able to take a spot that is helpful to you, but also is able to hinder other people. Now, a lot of worker placement games, which technically this is kind of worker placement, other than the fact that you are reliant upon a die roll to determine where you can place your worker. A lot of worker placement games are about you taking the best possible option for you, and the screwage of the opposing players is just an added bonus. But this is like the first game I've played that I really kind of, on my turns, I would forego taking an item that maybe perhaps would be more useful for me over taking and purposely making it tougher for somebody, making somebody roll like a perfect 6 or something like that to get a better spot to avoid running into the guard. Because having to give up your items in this game is debilitating. You need them to win. You need them to build your escape plan and be able to get out of prison. And having the ability, like the really latent ability of forcing somebody into a poor position, into having to make a tough like bump in the road, having to accept it and having to accept that penalty is very, very helpful. And maybe you really needed a piece of tape or something that the spot that if you'd gone a little further would have helped you, but you were able to, jamming somebody is actually more helpful in this game. I really do like how the items that you use are very, very powerful. But you have to use them up to win. I mean, the guard outfit is just, having one and being able to like put it aside and not having to use it is very, very useful, because of the fact, obviously, then you can't have that debilitating effect occur to you. But you eventually, either it's going to get stolen from you, because people can, by landing on certain spaces, they can take that item from you, or you're just going to end up having to use it, to possibly win the game, and then you're back where you started. I really, the other part that I really like is the fact that the first escape's relatively easy. Mostly because of the fact that you have 3 dice and you're able to get the items that you need, pretty easily. And like those top level spots are easy to reach on 3 dice. I mean, you roll 3 dice and you total them up to 12. It's pretty easy to get to that 12th spot. The thing is that after you're down to 2 dice, and 1, you got to roll pretty well if you're going to get those top spots, and 2, chances are you're going to roll 7 or less. 50, half the time, that's what's going to happen. And the other players can key in on that and make sure that if they have an abundance of dice, they're going to be taking away those lower spots and forcing you once again into those bad decisions, having to run into guards and things like that aren't going to allow you the ability to have a good chance of winning, and you have to kind of scrape and crawl after that first successful attempt. This is one of those games that it is a thinky game, but it isn't like AP prone, mostly because your choices are right there for you. But it is one of those games where you have to try to figure out what somebody else is going for, what you think somebody else is going to want to take, and really stick it to them, because especially after somebody has managed to get one escape, because at that point they would just need one good lucky draw from this deck, and they're going to win the game. So at that point, you need to jam them and make them take suboptimal moves by just taking away the options of the locations that are available to them. So, my gamer group loved it. I played a 2-player with my daughter, and she really dug the whole process of collecting the items and creating, collecting the raw resources and then creating the things that she needed. And she needed a little bit of coaching. Remember, she's just barely almost 8. But, this is definitely one of those things where, like, when she was able to force misfortune upon me, she thought the game was a hoot, as she put it. So, all right, so there you go. That is how you play Jailbreakers. That's my thoughts on it. If you have any questions about the game, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those to the best of my ability. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, as always. And as always, until next time, you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.